Hello folks, welcome to the canal channel Jose. Today we're going to give you an idea how to replace the transmission mount on a 91 to 99 Toyota Tercel and a 92 to 99 Toyota Paseo. And this is on the driver's side. And for this component, we're going to be using a manual transmission mount and there's an automatic transmission mount. So you got to get the right mount for your transmission. On our case, we're using a manual transmission mount. So for this, we need a 14 millimeter socket, 70 millimeter socket, a couple extensions, and for this, we recommend you use a floor jack to put underneath right at the transmission, and we're going to show you how we do this, so you can actually lift and support the transmission weight with the jack while you replace this component. Because if you just take this off by loosening all the bolts and bringing them out, everything's going to drop in an angle, and that's not good. So you don't want to hurt yourself as well. So we're going to show you how we do this replacement so you can do it at home and you get an idea how you can do it as well. So with that said, let's jump right into it. So to replace the transmission mount on this Toyota Tercel, this is the mount right here, and we are going to have to lift our car, put it on jack stands, and we took off the wheel just to get more access to it, but you don't have to do that. All you have to do is just to be able to fit underneath and to replace that transmission mount. And we're going to have to hold the engine weight with the jack, which we have right here, and that's a wood that we're going to be setting, and we're going to show you how we do that. So on these Toyotas, this fits from 91 to 99 Toyota Tercel and 92 to 99 Toyota Paseo. The only thing that changes is that this mount changes for transmission automatic or manual transmission. This one is for manual transmission, and the holes are the pattern of the holes changes as well. So make sure that when you're ordering or buying the transmission mount, you buy the right mount, because it's automatic and manual transmission, so they change. So make sure you get that. This goes on the driver's side, right on this side, and to get to it is right underneath the battery, but we're gonna get from underneath. And right up here, the only thing we have to remove is a 14 millimeter bolt for the ground from above, and everything else is done from below. So this is where the transmission mount goes. This side, this is it. This is the bracket that goes from the transmission mount to the transmission. We have to remove three 14 millimeter bolts, 1, 2, 3, and then we have to remove 1, 2 14 millimeter bolts that go into the transmission mount. But before that, we have to remove the bolt from above that is for the ground. Once we take this out, we can remove that 17 millimeter bolt that is a long bolt that goes across into the frame, and is this sitting like this. So the two bottom bolts are these, and then the bolt that goes through is right here. So this motor mount or this transmission mount is sitting something like this. So we have to get that bracket off, and for that, we're going to fit a jack right underneath here so we can rest the transmission weight into it while we work with this, and so we can take off this safely. So this is when we need a jack to control the weight or maneuver the weight of the transmission up and down as we work with this. Because if you take all this off, the transmission will drop from this end. We don't want to do that. We're going to lift it and control the weight from that little bottom point with a piece of wood and a jack long enough to be able to raise or lower a transmission. So let's put the jack and start loosening everything up. So now we have put our jack right underneath, we have lifted, and we have just presented to where it's touching the transmission. Now we don't lift right now. What we do is we just want to control the weight of the transmission or the engine as we start taking everything off, and we control everything. And if we need to go up or down with the jack to take off this. So now we take off the 14 millimeter bolt right there that goes from the ground to the battery. That goes straight to the battery, and that's where it connects. Now the other stuff is from below. So now that we have removed the ground wire from the bracket, we can remove these 3 bolts and these 2 bolts too. They're 40 millimeter. So now when you're doing this, you want to make sure that your jack, it has pressure against the transmission a little bit. And then what I would do, I will start by loosening these 2 bolts that are from the bracket to the transmission mount, because that's going to tell you if the transmission starts dropping, that you need more pressure on the jack. So start with these 2 and then continue with these other 3. So now I have removed the two bottom ones. The transmission is being held by the jack. So now it's loose, as you can see. So now we can take out these three 14mm bolts. We remove the bracket so we can take out the 17mm board that goes across and holds this transmission mount into the frame. So now what we did is we left one of the bolts on. So then you see, we just pivot it to the side. We let it hang in there. And then we can remove the 17mm bolt that is right there for the transmission mount. As you can see, this is the transmission mount and it went like this. And this is the bolt that goes through. So it's a really long bolt. As you can see, it goes all the way from here, all the way across the chassis to the other end. So you can see how much it goes into this. So now we are replacing this. It has damage to it. As you can see, we're having a lot of vibration. So we're replacing this guy. So let's get a new one. So here's a new one. We start feeding it like this. So here we have the transmission mount already there. We haven't tightened in this bolt because we want to have everything loose so we can actually feed this right in there, present bolts everywhere. So then once we have everything presented, because we might have to move the transmission here, there. So this is loose so we can actually start working everything in. So then once you have everything lined up, then we can start tightening stuff up. First we'll be tightening in this bracket here from the transmission, then these two bolts here, and then the bolt up there. Quick tip, the ones with a washer, there's three of them, go on this bracket. The ones with no washer, these go into the transmission mount. The long one was gonna be right there. So 2 for this area with no washers, 3 with washers go in this area. So now with these 2 bolts in here just setting there, we are gonna have to lift our transmission up because the holes don't line up. That's why the need of the jack is to raise and lower, not just to hold the weight of the transmission. We have to raise the transmission a little bit to line up with the bar, these 2 holes in this transmission. So we do that now. So now that we have put all those bolts in, couple threads in, we start tightening them all. Now we can tighten that 17mm bolt up there. So now we can just go up there and we can put the ground into the bracket, tighten it with a 14mm, and that should be finishing the replacement of this transmission mount on this Toyota. Okay, now that we have finished putting and tightening all the bolts, we can lower our jack and get it out of there. So now what we have to do is we have to put the ground wire into there with a 14mm bolt and we tighten it. So now we're done with this transmission mount replacement on this Toyota, and we just lower our car. We have put the tire back on. That was just for our purpose of getting in there, and we lower it and we can get it back on the road. And that's how easy you can replace the transmission mount on the driver's side for a 91 to 99 Toyota Tercel, 92 to 99 Toyota Paseo. Remember, manual transmission or automatic transmission mount. So you got to have the right one for your transmission. And a 40mm socket, a 70mm socket, and a floor jack so you can control and hold the weight of the transmission or the engine while you do this replacement. Because if you just take this out and you don't control all the weight, it's going to drop as soon as all the threads of one component come off, and that's not going to be good. We don't want you to get hurt. So easy as that. So you can control the weight, maneuver the transmission with our engine, and to set everything back on like we did. So with that said, folks, for our friends who are watching a video and haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. If you like a video, give us thumbs up, share it, and we'll see you soon with more videos here en el canal, El Chano José.